What's your favorite scary movie?
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
That the power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Here's Johnny! I see dead people.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
It's showtime.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Terror Talks. I'm your host, Jeremy, and I know we haven't done too many episodes in a while. We have been really busy getting as much information from haunted houses and visiting haunts as we possibly can this haunt season, and now it is finally time to begin bringing you our haunt reviews. We've got so many awesome haunts to review, check out this season for the 2022 haunt season, and we thought, how do we start off this season? How do we begin the haunt season talking about some great haunts? And I thought, what better place than the place right here at home, our own home haunt, Plantation Blood Haunted Attraction, located right here in Augusta, Georgia. We visited Plantation Blood last season and the year before that, both in 2020 and 2021 for their haunts, and were pleasantly surprised on both occasions when we visited, as it was nothing we had ever expected, and we did not anticipate it being as much fun as we had over the past 2 years. And this year we are very pleased to report, without giving too much away at the beginning of the episode, because we want you to stick around to the end to find out what we thought in full, but we can safely tell you this year was no exception to the rule, and we had an absolutely wonderful time at Plantation Blood Haunted Attractions. We got to meet so many new people. We got to have so many cool experiences, so many unique experiences, fun experiences. Got to take it all in and just have an absolutely banger of a time. I've never used that adjective before. That's what we're rolling with, though. We had a banger of a time. It was so much fun from the minute you get there to the minute you leave. Plantation Blood is jam freaking packed from everything. And I just can't wait to break it all down and talk to you guys about it. We're going to have so much fun on this episode today. I can already feel it. I'm ready to just dive right in. If you recall from last season, our 2021 season, Plantation Blood ranked a 3 out of 5 Scream rating. Now, if you have been with us for the past year, you know how we rate our haunted houses. We base them on a scale of 1 to 5 screams with various categories. Last year, those categories were sets, makeup, costumes, and special effects, all sort of bundled together. Pacing, scares, actors. We bundled them all up into those various effects, divided them, got the average, and last season it came out to a grand total of 3 out of 5 screams. This year we are bringing back the exact same system, but we have added some categories. We are really digging our teeth into the little things, and we're diving deep. We're going to talk about everything here on this. So the new categories this season are midway, because every haunted house has to have a midway of some form or fashion, and it all starts at the midway. Then returning, we have sets. This year we are bundling costumes and makeup together as their own standalone category. Then special effects are going to be their own category this year, because special effects really are just a unique thing of their own. You really can't tie them in with everything else. Then we have scares, once again. We have pacing, once again. And we have the actors and the staff. And so I felt it very important to mention actors and staff, because a haunt is not just any one person. It's not just any one individual they can't do it on their own. The actors can't do it on their own. And the staff and creative team cannot do it on their own. Everybody needs each other in some form or fashion, and they all help each other to create this cohesive experience. And again, we'll get into that real deep when we talk about that. So we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right in. We're going to kick it off. So let's begin with Plantation Blood Haunted Attraction. So when you first arrive at Plantation Blood, one of the first things you see is this giant inflatable Grim Reaper. You can see him from the road. You are met by these men with the batons parking cars. They're very good about making sure all the cars get parked, sending you to a specific place. They got plenty of parking in their own personal parking lot across the street. They've got a hearse right out in front. They've got this great sign. I actually really like the sign this year. It's sort of a green and red sign. It really pops when you come up on it. This is Plantation Blood. You know exactly where you are the minute you get there. Such a great thing. I remember one of my big critiques last season was you did not know where you were when you arrived. And I am very, very excited and very happy that one of the creative people took that note to heart and they implemented that in spades. So, the creative people, you deserve a big round of applause already. You're already kicking it off to a great start. We're not even in the haunt yet, and you've given us some hope, something to look forward to. Because we know if changes are being implemented out here, we know that they have to be implemented inside the house as well. The owners of this haunt should be very lucky to have their people who are running all the creative managerial parts. They should be very lucky to have them because they're very, very awesome. You can tell they're working hard to make magic happen. And I'm going to give a special shout out a little bit later as we continue to talk about some really cool things. Lots to discuss. So you show up there, you see where you are. It looks fantastic. They got a brand new ticket booth out front that looks so amazing. It looked like before it was a little one-room shack. Now it is a full-scale ticket booth. It looks amazing. There's 2 entrances on either side of the ticket booth to take you inside of the compound, if you will, where all the action is happening. It's a wonderful experience in there. When you get inside that compound, you are greeted. I will say this, and it disheartens me to say this, but at the same time, at the same token, it encourages me to say this, and I'm happy to say this. You are met by someone who is going to wand you down as soon as you get in there. Some of you who know where Plantation Blood is know that it is not necessarily on the safest side of town. A lot of stuff happens over there. And Plantation Blood in and of itself has, in the past, had a bad rep. But I can tell you that bad rep is not the case now. Plantation Blood is taking all the necessary precautions to make sure that you and your family are safe. It is a wonderful family experience to come out there. Bring the kids, bring the little ones. I can't tell you how I saw people with little kids out there having a grand old time. It was so much fun. It's awesome. They are making sure that everybody is as safe as possible. They got a great security team to take care of that. They are making sure nobody is going to hurt you or hurt somebody else or hurt themselves. They are on top of things there. They are getting things done. So you get there, you check out the ticket booth, you buy your tickets. Very, very simple task. Everything's easy. They've got 2 lines right before you go in. One line takes you right to the ticket booth where you just, boom, need to buy tickets, blah, blah, blah. Second one is a line where you've already purchased your tickets, and that's great that they have that separated out so that there's no backup in the line. They're very good about getting things done quickly. Everything is so good from that experience. You go inside either gate, you're going to get wanded for safety precaution reasons. And again, so admirable for that. Thank you, Plantation Blood. Thank you to the team who is in charge of making that happen, for keeping everybody safe. Actors, guests alike, everyone. That is the most important thing. Safety is key. And in today's world, society, we can never be too careful, and we have to be super, super careful with things like that. So thank you for looking out for us, looking out for your own, and really taking care of that and keeping them safe. So you get in. Once you're past that, you're greeted to this giant midway. It's a huge midway. There's so much going on. If you look in any given direction, there is something to be seen. At one end of the compound, there is the exit where you see where people are coming out of the haunt. There's some little photo opportunities. If I want to get a little nitpicky, I'd probably like a little bit more photo opportunities over in the photo opportunity corner. So that would be nice to kind of see that and see how that could be changed in such a way to give some more opportunities, or maybe just give some more light over there, because it is very dark on that side. It's a little unwelcoming over there. But at the same token, I get that also, because that is right near the exit of the haunt. And I actually realize when you're coming through the haunt, you're right on the backside of that fence where those photo opportunities are. And so you don't really want to have the light bleeding over there, over the fence. And so I get that. So I'm not going to be too nitpicky or dock a point on that one, because there is a reason inside the haunt internally for as to why it might not be so bright right there in that little section. But again, lots of great places you can take photos. They've got an awesome gift shop with all sorts of selections of things there to purchase. They've got it all listed out there, how much different things are. Great. Right next to that, they have concession stands. And right above it all, one of my big notes last year, again, didn't really know where I was or what I was doing or what I needed, blah, blah, blah. They have a great big old sign now that tells you where you are, that this is the concessions and souvenirs shop. And it's flashy. It's great. It really gets your attention and says, hey, come over here and buy something. Now, if only they could get some light on the actual sign where the prices are, that would be one other thing I would say could really help, because it is really hard to see the line, because it's right, not the line. It's really hard to see the prices of the various line items. And because of that, it's very difficult to be able to go, oh, what do I want? Because right there, it's a red sign and there's a red light there. So it makes it a little difficult. Apart from that, not a big deal. Concession stands, great. So much to do. So much to walk around and see. In the past, there's been plenty more booths. This year, there weren't as many booths, but that is of no fault to Plantation Blood in and of itself. We don't blame them for that. If outside vendors don't want to come in, that's on those outside vendors, not on the venue itself. Again, they've got their awesome stage where they've had bands playing on various nights. Sadly, we did not get to go and check them out on a night when a band was playing. Or if we did get there on a night a band was playing, we literally had just missed them by the time we got there. But they're doing very good with having the entertainment going on. Several of the managers got up there at various points throughout the night and talked into the mic and sort of hyped the crowd up a little bit. That was great, doing that audience interaction, really getting people excited. I got an explanation this year. Funny enough, if you recall last year, one of my big pet peeves was the chain link fence in the line. And I found out that was to minimize a lot of the big fights that have been going on. Apparently, in years past, people like to fight, people like to cut lines. That's just the nature of it. Anywhere it can happen to any haunt, any place, it can happen in a supermarket. And because people do that, precautions have to be taken to make sure nobody gets hurt. And so they had to put up those chain link fences. Unfortunately, yes, it's not exactly the prettiest, but it does keep the fights from happening. And that is the most important thing, is keeping, the rowdy customers down and not letting them get too rowdy. But yeah, everything about the Midway, fantastic, great ambiance, some really, really great characters running around the Midway, I have to say. They absolutely crack me up. I met so many cool creatures out there. And unfortunately, I cannot at this point remember the creature names. And unfortunately, I don't really know the actors' names either, because I didn't see, behind the mask. I did meet several of the actors, but it was outside of costume. So it was like, well, I don't know who you were playing. But the people who were there, the Midway actors, were like top notch, getting the scares, getting the interactions with people, really working the crowd, getting them pumped up to be there. So all in all, Midway, we're giving you a 5 out of 5 on Screams. Moving on to the next bit, we have sets. Sets. Any haunted house is bound to have some sets somewhere in there. And Plantation Blood is certainly no exception. In fact, I do recall last year, one of our big things, we loved the sets. We were so shocked by the sets and how just immaculate they were. And this year, again, they brought it back. There are some things that were the same from years past, and I'm okay with that because they did different things that made them seem different lighting effects in places, and we'll talk about that when we get to special effects. But there is one particular place that was completely different, and it looked so good, and I loved it so much. And so if you know how Plantation Blood is laid out, it's laid out into three big sort of warehouse houses, three houses essentially. And the first house is the more old, creepy house. The second one is the asylum. And the third one was the kicker. It was the clown house. This was something that I had learned about last year from somebody talking about doing a clown house, or I had heard it through the grapevine that this was an idea that had got kicked around and really wanted to happen. Weren't sure if it were going to happen. You know, nothing was set in stone or really even known or understood. Well, this year it was finally done, and let me tell you, I was so impressed when I got in there. The clown house was honestly one of my favorite parts, and not because I'm necessarily a big fan of clowns, but it was the immaculate detail work in there. Everything was very ultraviolet, black light type stuff, and it looked phenomenal. There were so many neons and designs and like paint splatters on the wall and fancy writing and all these designs that just screamed clowns, the circus. It was so well done. There was a big little tagline that says, "In the circus, no one can hear you scream." It was so like gorgeous, to be quite honest. Like, I'm just sitting there trying to figure out, how does this even happen? How do you make this happen? Because it just seems crazy, because it was something totally different last year. Last year it was like a funeral home of sorts, if I recall correctly, and it was not even remotely similar to what it is now. And they came in and they went chop, 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 and redid the entire thing. And it was done so well. And I have to give a special shout out to the man who made it happen, the man who designed it and carried out that design to the end, Paul. He is one of the managers there at Plantation Blood. He's one of the big creative people helping out with all that, and he's the man making things happen out there. And Paul, I got to give you mad props, man. That clown house looks so good. The set was so amazing. Like, I cannot rave about it enough, because it really was that cool, and it really gave a great effect, because any good haunted house is going to have clowns in it, and they brought the clowns to a new level, and it was fantastic. I loved it. Absolutely loved what they did. And I'm going to talk a little bit later about the clever design of that building itself and the way it was run, but I don't want to give that away just yet, because we're going to talk about that in a future segment in a little bit here. So, apart from the clown house, all the other sets equally amazing. Some really standout ones for me. One of my favorite sets in this haunt is the swamp, which actually coincidentally comes right before the amazing clown house. So you have one amazing thing leading right into another amazing thing. The set here was so nice. I love the swamp, because you literally feel like you're out in this creepy voodoo swamp out in the middle of nowhere. Like, if you didn't know any better, you would not know you were at this little plantation going through a haunted house, because it's that convincing. And then even backtracking even further, you go through literally like a meat locker, and then what has been dubbed the foot locker, which is like a morgue of sorts. You go through this whole asylum, then, and that's just amazing to me. Like, every little bit of detail is so well done on the set pieces. You go underground at one point. You go through basically an alleyway at one point. There's so many amazing set pieces in this haunt. And even at the end of the haunt this year, you go through like a little graveyard at the very end. And, it wasn't much, but it was still good. Like, the way it was executed was so well done. And you could tell the sets were very strategically made. They were very put together. Everything about it was fantastic. And I really hope that moving forward in the years to come, I hope that Paul and his team are still there to implement some more changes, because my understanding is he's got some really cool ideas to implement. And I would love to see, we've now seen what they can do with this, the third house, which is now the clown house, gut an entire building and turn it into something totally different. We've seen what can be done. Now I want to see it happen in the first and second house too. I want to see where they can take that, how far they can push it, and make Plantation Blood feel like something totally different, come next year or 2 years from now. I want to feel like I'm going to a totally different place, because I know they have the ability to do it, and I know they can make it happen. So sets are going to be a 5 out of 5 as well. Moving on to costumes and makeup. Wow, what can I say? The makeup work and the costume work is done very, very well in this haunt. There are so many meticulous things done. Like, every person's face is either done up or you're wearing a mask. And those masks are not any joking masks either. The masks work with whatever your costume is. And the masks are of very high, almost Hollywood level quality. So you sometimes don't even know what the hell you're looking at. And it's creepy as hell, and it's enough to scare you into a freaking corner and make you cry for your mommy. They do some really great things, and there's an awesome team that's in charge of coordinating, where these people are going to go and what their costume is going to be in regards to that section that they are in. I have to give a great big old shout out, because I got to meet a lot of people on my journey here at Plantation Blood. On my first night there, coming to visit them and check things out, I met some really cool people. And one of the people I met was this wonderful woman named Rayanne. Her and her partner Brandy. I met the both of them, and they are sort of in charge of all of the, putting the costumes together and putting the actors out here. They're in charge of making that magic happen and telling people where to go and what to do in that regard, and making sure that things get done. And they don't just do that. They don't just, tell the actors where to go. They don't just do the costumes. They also do the makeup too. And on top of that, they also act in the haunt. And they're doing all sorts of extra little things that, probably aren't even in their job description, but they're doing them because they can do them. And because they're talented enough to do them, and they have the skill set to do them. So Brandy and Rayanne, I have to give y'all the utmost props, because you do amazing work out there, and they're going to get some more amazing props as we go through this, because there's so much that they do and that we just have to talk about. But, they pick out these awesome costumes that work. If you're going in the asylum, they've got the perfect outfit to match. They've got these perfect scrubs that match, or they'll give you a lab coat that's been all bloodied up. If you're going, there was one guy who, he was going down in a mine shaft, and it was like, well, you know what, he's going to be an undead cowboy, which worked perfectly with his character. And they put him down in the mine shaft, gave him this cowboy costume. It was fantastic. They have little girls out there who are in these creepy ass dresses, and like, they're really freaking creepy, man. And they fit their scene perfectly. The costumes are so well done. Some of the masks are so well done. There's some really great masks. There's this awesome pig mask that this one guy wore that was just creepy when he wore it. There were some really cool clown masks. There was a guy who walked around with this awesome clown mask that was just, the detail work on the mask itself, you could tell it was one of those really professional ones, and it looked amazing. Costumes were awesome. And the makeup. When I go to a haunt, I don't ever know what to expect makeup-wise. And having done little Halloween stuff at home and, putting my own Halloween makeup on, I'm used to little fake white paint or whatever and, some black paint circles or whatever. All the stuff they do is not that simple. It is, one, very intricate. It's very complex. It's very tedious. But it's freaking amazing. They do a lot of airbrush technique. And the people who do the airbrushing technique, just to name a couple of the people that I have met off the top of my head, again, Brandy comes to mind because she was able to do some awesome makeup work on people. I saw some really great work from her. So Brandy does a wonderful job with that. Another awesome guy is named Blaine, who did some really, really cool makeup stuff on people. Such intricate details, and it's so amazing to see how things can start with just like a couple like black streaks or just a white base or whatever. And then he came in and added all these little intricate details, and same with Brandy as well. And then there was this awesome other guy named Britton who was, again, so good at what he did. Everybody who got together to do the makeup was so talented. There are some other people who, again, names, I'm not so good with names, I'll be honest. But they did some really cool latex effects on faces to make it look like marks were like gouged out of your face and you're just bleeding profusely. So much amazing detail in the makeup and the costumes. And I can't say enough how awesome the people who do it were, because these people who are doing it, they're jacks of all trades, and all of them are actors too. They're either actors or they're doing another position at the haunt, but they have this other skill set that they can also do, and they make the haunt awesome. So costumes and makeup, ladies and gentlemen, give them a 5 out of 5. Moving on to special effects. This is one of my favorite categories to talk about because there's always so much fun stuff to talk about with special effects. So, Plantation Blood does some great things. And let me remind you, special effects is not just, a flash here or there, It's like everything that goes together. It can be strobe lights, it can be fog machines, it can be lasers, it can be moving set pieces and whatnot. There are so many things that encompass special effects, and Plantation Blood does it very, very well. They had so many great moments, so many really good lighting moments. Just to start off simple, all of their lighting throughout the haunt is so well done. Things are balanced in really great places and creates this really just agonizing, creepy feeling when you're coming through. You don't know what you're about to run into. It could literally be anything, and then boom, you're scared. Lighting is great. The sound-wise, they've got some great sound throughout the haunt. As you go through, there's so many binaural sounds happening throughout as you go through. You'll hear screaming, or you might hear a chainsaw, or you might hear a child laughing. It's happening all around you, and it's in all of your surrounding area. I will say one of the things that, if I got to be a little nitpicky here, I got to point a couple things out. I believe, and it could be my false memory, I do know last year for certain, I'm pretty sure it happened again this year, there is an area in the house where there's like an organ playing, and what sounds like is being played is the Haunted Mansion theme, which, I'm all down for the Haunted Mansion. Everyone loves the Haunted Mansion. You can't hate the Haunted Mansion. However, when I go to a haunted house, because, you're not necessarily tying in the IP, I don't want to hear, the Haunted Mansion, because then I feel like I've just walked into Disney World. And so because of that, I'm kind of like, let's see, can we get some like original music or something like that? And I know that's not necessarily easy to come by. But what I will say is online, you can find all sorts of free copyright music to whatever theme you want, whether it be horror or Western or hip hop to R&B. You can find it online, and usually it's free to download as long as you give the credit where credit is due to the people who made it. So if I have to be really nitpicky, that's one thing I would just like to hear some more original music, or at least music that has not already been copyrighted throughout the haunt. I think that'd be a really neat thing to hear and see what could happen there, and just see how they play with that and see what sort of music you would hear. Apart from that, the audio special effects were great. Some really great things. Fog machines. Let me tell you, Plantation Blood knows how to use a fog machine. They know how to use it right, too. Because there are some great moments, and there are some amazing moments with it. First house that you walk through, they're doing some great things with the fog, and they're really fogging up everything. There's a really cool effect that I love. It's one of my favorite effects. Anybody who knows me and knows my affiliation with the haunt industry, you know how much I love this effect. It is when you take a laser of a single corner or a single color and you point it at a fixed location, and then you fog up the room. And then the fog somehow meshes with the laser, and it basically creates a wall. You can't see past that laser line. And it creates a really cool effect. I've seen it done many times to signify water, which is always a really cool one. And they actually did that in this haunt. In one of the very first rooms you walk into, they did it. And you literally walked through the laser. Now, this time it was pointing downward, almost to sort of create like a doorway or a portal sort of thing. Such a cool effect, and I would love to see more of those added throughout the haunt in some form or fashion. I'd love to see the water effect added in some form or fashion, because it is one of my favorites. And that effect is so effective, and it creates such a cool little feeling when you see that laser and you know you're walking through this mystical line or barrier. It's impressive. And so good on them for having that. Again, talking about the fog, they're fogging up everything. Everything's very foggy, very hazy. The fog works very well with all the lights and whatnot. There's a wonderful area where I'm loving the fog. And it's when you get out into the swamp, and they have like the low-lying fog that's just billowing out there. And it looks so, so good when it comes out there over the water, because they have actual water out there too in the swamp. It is so cool. It's, like I said, it's one of my favorite scenes. And when you get the fog and then the lights, all the greens and whatnot, and everything just working together, you have this perfect storm. And speaking of perfect storms, another really cool effect that I've rarely seen in haunted houses, have seen in this one now, is it's literally raining in the swamp. You walk outside, I can't tell you how many people walk out there, and they go, "Oh my God, is it raining?" Because they're like, "How long were we in there for?" It seems unreal. They literally have it raining on you when you come through there. And that's such an amazing effect to do that. And it's so simple too, but it's still amazing and it's effective. So it is, wow. I literally am just in awe by that. It's such a great effect, along with all the other effects that are used throughout this haunt. Sound, lighting, fog, lasers, everything you name it, special effects wise, this haunt has got it. And we got to give haunts for special effects a 5 out of 5. Moving on to our next category, scares. So scares, if you go to a haunted house, you're expecting to get scared. And let me tell you, Plantation Blood, you're going to get scared. I have been through the haunt several times this season, last season, the year before that. And this year, I got the most scared I've ever been going through there. There were so many moments throughout the entire haunt where some really great scares happened. Granted, at this point, I cannot remember what half of them are because there were so many of them. But there were some really good ones, and I have to actually jump back to the clown house for one of my favorite scare moments in the entire house. They have designed the clown house in such a way that it can basically be run by like 2 people. That's not to say you only want 2 people in there, but they have created all of these secret hideaways where an actor can basically sneak through it and come out somewhere else. And let me tell you, I got the crap scared out of me in that house by a clown named Eddie. He was jumping out at me 1,005,000 freaking times. I could not catch a break. And every time I saw him, he scared me again somehow. And it was done so well. Like, the scares were so well done. They were so well choreographed. They were precise. They were meticulous. They made you think. They made you wonder. And they did a great job. Apart from that, throughout the rest of the haunt, some more really great moments of scares. There was never really a dull moment where I don't think I was ever not scared. Like, as I was going through, there was always something to get me in some form or fashion. And I have to give massive props for that, because it's not necessarily the easiest thing to scare me. I'm not the easiest person to scare. But when you get me, and you know you got me. And Plantation Blood did very good on getting those scares, even on nights with minimal actors, which is something we'll talk about in a little bit when we get to the actors. But I will say, even with a minimal amount, they still managed to scare the absolute living crap out of me every time. For scares, Plantation Blood gets a 5 out of 5. Moving on to pacing, which ironically is probably going to be the quickest category. The pacing of Plantation Blood is very good. Now, for those of you who don't know what pacing is basically how quickly are you going to make it through this haunt. Is it the type of haunt that you run through, or is it the type of haunt you're going to walk through and take your time? In the way the actors work it, it works really well, to the point where you almost always never run up on another group. You're almost always by yourself the entire time. In fact, when I went through, I was by myself the entire time. Never had an issue. Did not run into a group. Did not have a group run into me. The pacing of the haunt is really, really well done. And they have found a way to make sure that it somehow doesn't conflict with another group. It works perfectly. They have a system in place, and it works. The haunt itself probably can take up to about 20, even longer, 25 minutes to walk through, which is a great length for a haunt, especially one that's a standalone haunt. That's really, really good. That's really something to be proud of. You know, if it's under, 10 minutes, that'd be a little disappointing. If it's between 10 and 20, that's pretty acceptable. But if you can get it up to 20 and over, that's really freaking good. And Plantation Blood is able to actually get it up to about 20 and over on like a really good day. And I was really shocked, looking at my clock afterwards going, oh my God, that was a really long walkthrough. That's a great problem. That's a great thing. That means there's so much there and there's so much to play with. And the actors are doing their job at helping sort of pace the group. Sometimes actors will jump out and stop you, or then they'll rush you on. It's all about the pacing, and they know what's happening before we do. You may think you're about to run up on another group, but the actor, trust me, they know. So for pacing, I give Plantation Blood 5 out of 5. So now we come to the final category, which is probably, in my opinion, one of the most important categories a haunted house can have. Actors and staff. Let me start by saying, the actors are the ones who make a haunt what it is. If you don't have actors in your haunt, it doesn't matter if you have the most multi-billion-dollar set. Doesn't happen if you have the coolest special effects. Your haunted house is nothing without your actors and the staff who help put it together. So I just want to start off by saying that, because it's so important that people realize that the owners may own the place, but it's the ones inside who work really, really hard to get the scare out of you. The actors at Plantation Blood are top freaking notch. They blew me away when I came through. I came through on a night when it was a little deader. Like, there was not a lot of people. It was very rough, and you could tell they were worried about a haunt reviewer coming through. But they treated it with the utmost confidence and were ready to give it their absolute all and say, we are going to make this a great experience for you and a great experience for us. And we're going to make it happen. Now, how we're going to make it happen, we ain't got a clue, but we're going to do it. And do it, they most certainly did. Like I said during the scares, I never had a dull moment. With probably less than 10 actors. More than 5, less than 10. I never missed a scare. And I got scared a crap ton of times. The actors who are in this haunt are top-notch quality. They would be lucky to get into any haunted house in America. And that haunted house would be so lucky to have them. Because I have seen the skill set on these actors. They know what they're doing. And it's not just the actors, it's the staff too. Plantation Blood truly has a bang-up staff. The people who put the haunt together. I'm talking the people who are in the background. You never see them. Or if you do see them, it's because they're, stepping in to help out where they can. They are helping make this haunt what it is. They're helping make it top freaking notch. These haunts could not be done without the actors and the staff. Like I said, owners all day can throw a pile of money in there. But without the proper tools to carry out the task at hand, it is not going to mean anything. And Plantation Blood makes it happen, y'all. They are so good at keeping you engaged, giving it their absolute all. I mean, there's literally a kid in there who runs down the hallway like a freaking maniac, banging into walls, jumping around, hooting and hollering, but he scares the crap out of you, and he's effective. Devotion. That is what the team at Plantation Blood has. They have uncommitted, or fully committed actually. I don't know what the right saying is, but they have 100% devotion to what they are doing. And you can tell, you could try and break them all day long. They won't break character. They will act until the very end. And they will give it their all. And that's just the actors. Jump over to your makeup team. They are working hard and making everything happen. And doing the most intricate, beautiful, basically artwork on a face. It's amazing. Then you jump over to the people who are in charge of, going through and fixing things and repairing things. The ideas, the builders, the creative people. They are working year-round to make a haunt amazing. They're working year-round, going in there and busting their ass to make sure the haunt is ready by haunt season. Doesn't matter that the rest of the world has turned off Halloween and now they're focusing on Christmas or Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day. The haunt builders are still focused on the haunt. There are so many amazing people at Plantation Blood who give it everything they've got. Who put their heart, their soul, their mind, their will to live into that haunt. And it is so impressive. And it shows. It really, really does. I have to give mad props to 3 very important people with whom I am thoroughly convinced Plantation Blood could not be run without these 3 people right here. And that's Paul, Brandy, and Ryan. The 3 of them do some amazing stuff. Paul, he's going around and fixing everything and repairing things and coming up with ideas and building the sets and doing the behind the scenes and doing all of that stuff. He's doing all the physical stuff. Brandy and Rayanne, they are working with the actors. They are telling them, You're going to go here. They're coordinating that costume. They're coordinating that makeup. They are putting it all together. This is a committed team, all three of them. And they could not do this without all the amazing devotion they have. It's so well done. And I can't say it enough. They literally run that place. The actors literally run that place. Not the checkbooks, not the owners. It is the actors and the staff, the internal ones, the ones that you don't get to see out of costume. The ones that only you get to see as a creature that wants to kill you. That's all you see is that creature, that monster. But behind every single one of those monsters is a human being, and a devoted human being at that, who wants the absolute best for that haunt. And the beautiful thing about it is, nobody has a big inflated ego on that team. Nobody thinks they're better than somebody else. That team is a family. And they work together. And they stick together. And you can feel it from the minute you get there. They all have each other's back, no matter what the situation. They're going to make sure that everyone is looked out for. And they're going to have everybody's back. And that speaks wonders. Because at a good haunted house, if you don't have the family vibe, if you don't have that type of connection, you don't have anything. And there are plenty of haunted houses out there where people are just there for the money. And they're not there because they enjoy it. They don't have the passion behind it. They're there because they think it's an easy, quick paycheck. And that's not the right reason. Like I said, the actors and staff are the ones who make the haunt what it is. Not a single soul anywhere else does it. I don't care what anybody says. Without that team, without that family, without that connection, you will not have a haunted house. You will have a building that is really dark and really empty. Because you will have lost your actors and your team that have made the haunt as special as it is. I'm going to do something I've never done before, but I feel this strongly about it. For actors and staff, I'm giving them a rating of 20 out of 5. I'm going 4 times over the limit. Because really and truthfully, that type of familial connection that is there, you can't put a price on it. And you can't put a price on the dedication or determination. It's impossible. And so, in doing so, I've just got to give them the best score possible for that. Because you can feel it, you can tell it, you can sense it. Plantation Blood's actors and staff, 20 out of 5. So friends, it is now time for the grand total to give this haunted house its ranking. Let's review. For Midway, 5 out of 5. For Sets, 5 out of 5. For makeup and costumes, 5 out of 5. For special effects, 5 out of 5. For pacing, 5 out of 5. For scares, 5 out of 5. And last but certainly not least, for actors and staff, 20 out of 5. Which brings us to a grand total. Probably the only time this season we'll ever see this total. Plantation Blood has earned a ranking of 7 screams. That is the highest ranking we've ever had. And that is a testament to how good they are. They're not some second-rate backwoods haunt. And they're not some second-rate backyard haunt. And they may not necessarily be some big Hollywood-level haunt. But they don't have to be, because a haunt is not just about any one thing. It's about how all of the elements come together cohesively. It's about the people who make the haunt. Plantation Blood, I can safely say, is one of the safest haunts, one of the most fun haunts, and one of the best feeling haunts I've ever been to in my life. It is home to a phenomenal team, and it is home to some phenomenal actors. And the people there should be very proud of what they have done, because they have created something special. They've created a haunt. They've created entertainment for the masses of Augusta. And most importantly, they have created a family together. Plantation Blood has earned its place in the haunting ranks. And they can say that they're number 3 in Georgia, or at least number 3 in the CSRA. I say they're number 1 in my book, because not many haunts can pull off what they have pulled off. They have done some incredible things, and I've witnessed them firsthand. Plantation Blood actors, if you can hear me, give yourself a big round of applause. You are what makes the haunt. You are what makes it special. It could not be done without you. Plantation Blood Creative, give yourself a round of applause. You are what makes the haunt. It could not be done without you. Plantation Blood makeup artists, give yourself a big round of applause, because it could not be done without you. You are what makes the haunt. Finally, individually name some people. Paul, Brandy, Rhiann. Give yourselves a big round of applause, because I can safely say you have earned it. You all 3 have done some phenomenal things, and getting a chance to meet with all 3 of you and have some chats with you after attending the haunt, I have learned your level of commitment, your amazing ideas, and your love and joy for what you do. Give yourself a huge round of applause, because you are what makes the haunt. At the end of the day, none of this matters if those who enjoy it can't enjoy it or don't enjoy it. And they are what's important in this haunt. So please, show them your support, show them your love. Let them know how much you appreciate them. If you're a customer who's come through and you enjoyed yourself, let them know. Tell them what your favorite part was. Tell them who your favorite actor was. Sing their praises as much as you possibly can if you have them to be sung. Don't be quiet about it because they do listen. They do care. They want to hear from you because you bring them that joy. They have earned their place. Plantation Blood is a 7 Screams haunt. That is something to be proud of. And we will spread the word and tell people from all over to visit. And come see what we mean when we say that Plantation Blood isn't just about getting scared. It isn't just about marveling at everything. It isn't just about having fun. It's about becoming part of the family. And when you're in the family, you're in the family. Fantastic job, once again, to everybody involved. And I will say it once more, I've said it again. At the end of the day, it is the actors and the immediate creativity team that make things happen. Paul, Brandy, Rianne, again, one more big round of applause for yourselves. You have earned it. This haunt is fantastic. And I have had such a fun time getting to review it. And I do hope that I get to visit it again next season with this same team intact. Because if it is not this same team, I cannot guarantee it will be anywhere near as good as it is this year. So get out there while you still can. Who knows where the wind will blow? But that is going to do it for us. Until next time for one of our future haunted house reviews. That was our review all on Plantation Blood Haunted Attraction located here in Augusta, Georgia. If you want to go out there and visit Plantation Blood, you can go to Plantation Blood's website, plantationblood.com, and you can get information on how to buy tickets, find dates, and get directions to the haunt itself. So be sure to go and check that out. Tickets for a standard evening, one ticket is $25. If you want to get the VIP experience and just go straight into the house, that's going to cost you $45. I've done both. They're both worth it. If you can do it, spend the money, do a little extra, get you the VIP. But that is going to do it for us today on this episode of the Terror Talks. Be sure to go check out our friends over at Plantation Blood on their Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those social medias and whatnot. Go check them out, follow them, give them some love, tell them how much you loved it, tell them you heard about them from the Terror Talks. That is going to do it for us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you didn't, or if you did, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you did and didn't like. Maybe there was something you didn't like. We want to know everything. You can send us a message directly by emailing us at theterrortalks@gmail.com, or even feel free to message us on any of our social medias. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, you name it. You can find us. Just look up the Terror Talks, and we are there. Be sure to go and like us and subscribe on all of our places where we release our podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Libsyn, and plenty of other awesome places where you can go and have a listen to us. Finally, we want to thank you. That's right, you, for being a loyal part of this community, of this group, and for coming in and listening to our review on Plantation Blood Haunted Attraction. We could not do what we do without you, so give yourself a nice round of applause. But that is going to do it for us today on this episode of the Terror Talks, where we reviewed Plantation Blood Haunted House. Be sure to go check them out this Halloween season, and be sure to let them know that the Terror Talks sent you. So, until next time, be safe out there. Don't text and drive. And be excellent to each other. We'll see you in the fog.